I've been riding motorcycles for over a decade, and honestly, I've made a lot of mistakes. Some of them nearly cost me my life, and that's why I started this channel, to help you avoid the dumb stuff I did and ride smarter, safer, and longer. If you're new here, maybe this is your first video, welcome. Through all my years of riding motorcycles on the street, I've seen riders make a ton of mistakes, especially when it comes to riding through the curves. Motorcyclists running wide in curves is the most common fatal crash situation. Now, most riders aren't bad. They're just making small, fixable mistakes that compound in curves. In this video, I'm breaking down the top 3 mistakes I've seen over the last 10 years and how you can correct them. It took me years to figure these out, but you can learn them in the next few minutes. These are lessons that could save you time, money, and maybe even your life. Mistake number 1, target fixation. Here's what usually happens. You're entering a curve, everything's going fine, and then you spot that guardrail, that telephone pole, or that tree on the side of the road, and you start staring right at it, hoping you won't go towards it. The problem is, as you're fixating on this object, that's exactly where you and your motorcycle are going to go. The reason for this is because your bike follows your eyes straight into danger, and usually straight into a crash. Here's some ways to fix the problem. First, look through the turn, not at the obstacle. If you're staring right at that guardrail, pothole, or telephone pole, chances are you're going to ride right into it. Next, you can use head and eye movement to guide your line. If you keep your eyes moving, turn your head and point your nose where you want to go, all the way to and through the exit of the turn, chances are that's where you and your motorcycle will end up. Keep your head and eyes moving. Another good tip is to practice spot and sweep drills to retrain visual habits. If you turn your head initially and look to your destination, you'll have a good chance of making it there through the curve. But let's say you do notice a hazard in the curve as you're riding through it. Should you ignore it completely and not look at it at all? It's okay to keep your eyes moving. Notice, identify hazards, and then look back to your destination. The goal is to keep our main focus and aim towards the exit of the turn. Then we can use the peripheral vision of our eyes to notice any other hazards as we're riding through it. Mistake number 2, early turn in. What usually happens to riders during this mistake is that they initiate the turn too soon. Even if you've taken some motorcycle training and learned how to set yourself up for success prior to reaching the turn, including adjusting your speed, setting up your lane position and body position, and turning your head to look towards your destination, all of those things might not help you if you push too early, countersteer prematurely, and initiate your turn in too soon. This can totally screw up your line through the turn and ultimately cause you to have an early apex and end up running wide off the road on the outside. By having an early turn point, this tightens the arc, obscures your view, and forces a wide exit. All of these things can lead to a potential crash and even a fatality. And if you happen to be riding with a group of inexperienced riders, like I see a lot of times in the canyons, if the lead rider makes a mistake with their line, ends up going wide, then it's usually a domino effect as far as every other person in the group following this line and going wide off the road and crashing. The good news is there's some things you can do to fix it. First, delay your turn in slightly to open up your sight line. By sticking to the outside longer and delaying your turn point, this will set you up with a nice line through the curve and allow you to link curves as you're riding through these canyons. Another tip you can use is to use the outside, inside, outside path for better control. By starting your turn in the outside lane position, working your way to the inside at the apex, and then back to the outside, you're going to have a better chance of staying in your lane, and it reduces your risks of running wide, going off the road, and potentially having a head-on collision with another vehicle. The next tip is to practice corner entry timing with cones or visual markers. Got a big parking lot near you? Perfect. Cut some tennis balls in half, go throw them out there in the parking lot, and practice these drills endlessly until you can't mess them up. Start by setting up a couple cones as your turn point. Ride toward them with a steady throttle in a straight line. Once you pass between the cones, push forward on your hand grip and initiate your countersteer as though you'd be leaning or entering a turn. As you practice this and get more comfortable, Work on delaying that forward push a little longer each time after passing through the cones. The goal is to delay your turn point and have a nice entry line into the turn without waiting too long and going off the road. Mistake number 3, speed changes mid-curve. What usually happens here is the rider brakes or accelerates abruptly while leaned over. Both of these things are bad ideas. This disrupts traction and balance, leading to slides or high sides. Essentially, any inputs on your throttle or brakes while you're in the middle of a curve is a potential upset of your suspension. Instead, we want a nice steady or slightly increasing throttle so we can have a nice stable suspension while we're leaned over. The goal here is to have as much traction as possible through the curve to help keep us upright and safe getting through there. Here's some tips to help you fix this mistake. First, set your speed before the curve. You might have heard some riders talk about advanced techniques like trail braking, but as a beginner, this isn't something you should worry about because you probably don't have the skills and finesse yet to be able to pull it off properly. Instead, just think about slowing down, reducing your speed, and setting yourself up for a nice, comfortable entry prior to reaching the turn. Then you can maintain a steady throttle or gently roll on the throttle through the turn and the apex. Practice throttle control drills to build muscle memory. This will really help you when it comes to riding on the road and having to make any adjustments mid-curve. If you do make an adjustment, make sure it's nice and smooth like peanut butter. To wrap things up, remember to ride smart, not scared. You're not a bad rider. You're learning. Fixing these 3 mistakes will transform your cornering confidence. If you got value from this, hit that like button so more riders can see it. Drop your own hard-earned lessons in the comments. And if you want more tips, stories, and real-world riding advice, subscribe and join me for the next ride. Until next time, ride safe, ride smart, and I'll see you out there.